What's up, everyone? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers, and break down the pattern that's developing on SPY and the markets and what you should be watching for as time progresses. But let me just mention that I am not a financial planner. Take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. Anyways, on SPY, we're very range bound. We're seeing a lot of manipulation in the markets as well. So we got some jobs data the market's trying to pump amidst that data. But notice the trend that's kind of like developing right here. So we got this huge dump yesterday, and we ended up dumping really hard during the after hours. And then during the pre-market, the market just kind of consolidated. And as soon as the jobs report came out, they pumped us right back up. So there's a lot of manipulation here, but notice the trend how on Monday, right, we got this nice pump on SPY, and then we dumped at the end of the day. On Tuesday, we pumped again, and then we dumped at the end of the day. On Wednesday, we pumped in the morning and then dumped at the end of the day. And now today is Thursday, we're pumping for the morning. There is a risk that we could still see a dump at the end of the day. And they love to do that, these market makers and manipulators. And they knew that the market dumped really hard yesterday. They knew technicals were showing more downside, only to pump it back up. So there's just so much manipulation in this market that we have to be aware of. So I wanted to talk about the charts a little bit later. Let's just first go over this. Initial jobless claims was at 233,000, below expectations. We had some bad jobs data that came out last week. Now the data that came out for this week, this is just initial jobless claims. This is not the unemployment data, the main unemployment rate I'm referring to. But it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the market is liking this. Continuing jobless claims was actually one of the best we've gotten in a long time. So for the very end of July going into like August, the jobs data has improved and the market's liking this, at least for now. Then at 11:30 a.m., we have the bill auctions coming out, not to mention Barkin giving a speech. Now, for other pieces of news about the market has dumped only to rebound just for now, and we'll see how well we hold up. Warner Bros. Ended up missing analysts' estimations as they had a loss of 36 cents per share, and revenue is only $9.7 billion. Not too good. This is all below expectations. And then, excuse me, their expectations for Q3 were not too good. Right now, there's a 61.5% chance the Fed gives us a 50 basis point cut. So that's something else that's worth noting. There's also been a lot of talk about JP Morgan, which is now raising their odds of recession to about 35 to 40% by the end of 2024. They used to say there was a 25% chance. Now they're saying that the odds are going up of a recession. And I personally agree with that. I mean, looking at what we're seeing in unemployment and the contractions developing in different sectors, that seems very probable. This is what the earnings calendar looks like. There's not really much coming out. We just have like Paramount after the market closes. Plug announced earnings. They ended up missing on revenue, missing on EPS. Margins were not too good, and they had weak guidance. So this is like the norm that we're seeing. Pretty weak earnings thus far. For other pieces of news, there's a company called Sunrun Partners Sunrun wants to partner with Tesla essentially. So that's good news for Tesla. But besides that, there's not really a whole lot else that's coming out. So what do I see for the charts? SPY has resistance at 525. If that breaks, we could get closer to about 528 and then 530 above that. We have supports to be watching for at 520. If that breaks, we'd be dipping all the way down towards 518, then 515 below that. Looking at the trend, like I said before, Monday we pumped and dumped. Tuesday we pumped and dumped. Wednesday we pumped and dumped. So that's what we've been doing for a very long time. We're pumping so far. We could pump a little bit more, watch 525 as resistance, but just note that there is that risk that the market could dump later on. Could we pump more from here? Yes, we could, but don't forget about that trend. That's what's been happening for the last 3 days. We could push more, but then there might be a dump coming later on, so keep that in the back of your guys' minds. On ES, the same thing. Look at all these pumps. We pumped only to dump, pumped only to dump, pump only to dump. We're pumping again. Be careful. We could be approaching the 5,300 area, and we're going to be watching to see if we reject off this. We also have this previous support becoming resistance at 5,280. So 5,280 and then 5,300 are going to be resistance levels. We could pump and then reject, so watch for that very carefully. On SPX, we pumped and dumped multiple times, kind of pumping and dumping here. We pumped and dumped here. We pumped and dumped. And we're actually starting to dip a bit on SPX. I think we're going to bounce a bit. It's going to try to retest to 52.67, if not higher, then try to dump again. So be mindful of that. Nvda is not looking that great. I mean, we have a double top-like structure. We could just be establishing a lower high, then continuing lower. This imbalance is still going to drag us lower, and Nvidia is struggling to break this resistance at 102. Watch 102 and 104 as resistance levels. Watch support 197.5. I suspect it might push towards 102, maybe go a little higher. Then we could reject and start dipping lower as we have a double top. So look for a little pump, and then we might reject and start dipping back down towards 100, if not 97.5. I am seeing some weakness on Nvidia. Bitcoin's pushing right now, looks pretty good. It could push towards 59,000, but then we'll be watching if we get a rejection off our 200 EMA. So look for a push and then potentially rejection. For Tesla, we're attempting to rebound, watch 195 as resistance, but look at the trend on Tesla. You'll notice that we're technically on a downtrend. If you actually look at this, we're downtrending. We're making lower highs and lower lows, lower highs and lower lows. And now we're attempting to rebound, but look at the last couple of days. Tesla pumped on Monday, kind of dipped a little bit. Tuesday, we pumped a lot, then dumped. Wednesday, we pumped and then dumped. Today, we're pumping a little bit, and then we could end up dumping. But watch 195, 198, and then 200 as resistance levels. If we reclaim 200, there is going to be a chance we could balance, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think that what might happen is Tesla pushes a little bit more, but we might come short of 200 and start dipping back down again. And if we end up losing if we don't hold above 195, look for 192 to be retested. If that fails, Tesla could be dipping all the way down to 188, then 184. I suspect we're going to push a little bit more. We could test 195 and we go a little higher, and then we might get a rejection, establish a lower high relative to this high right here, come short of 200, and then end up coming back down. That's the most likely possibility in my personal opinion, for a little pump and dump like move. Same thing with the QQQ. Look at the last couple of days. We pumped and dumped, pumped and dumped, pumped and dumped, pumped and dumped. Might pump again. Watch 442 and 444 as resistance levels, and then we'll be watching if we get a dump back down. I think we are looking a little bullish, super short term. We're going to push a little bit right now, but then later on we could turn back to bearish. Okay, the market could switch in a second. It's always shifting, so make sure you're open-minded about that. Aapl pumped and dumped, pumped and dumped, pumped and dumped. Might pump a little bit then dump, so be careful with Aapl. For the IWM, watch resistance at 205, then 208. We could push towards 208, then reject. So just be careful with that. So watch 205 first and see if you reject. If not, 208. Coinbase has 190's resistance. We could get close to 190. If we reject, we could be coming back down to fill the gap towards 179. If we break 190, we could turn back to bullish, look for a pump and dump. For Amazon, watch 166 as resistance. If we hold above 165, we could turn bullish and start pushing for 168. If we pump and then dump and lose 165, we'll be dipping back down to the gap fill at 162, so be careful. For Meta, we're trying to push a bit and watch 500 as resistance. If this breaks, look for 510, but then watch to see if we get a rejection off that. Same thing in Microsoft, might try to push for 408 and then reject. 404, then 408 as resistance, and watch to see if you reject off those. And then Google may also reject off 164. So just be careful, guys. Market may pump temporarily, but then we'll see if you get a rejection or not. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, and peace out.